In today's video, we're talking protein. Welcome to the video, guys. My name is Tyler, also known as the Fit Chemist, and I help people take control of their lives by taking control of their fitness and nutrition habits so that ultimately we can lead healthier and happier lives. So if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing, turn those notification bells on so you don't miss when I post new videos, and if you are returning, welcome back. I'm so glad that you are here. The FDA currently recommends 50 grams of protein based on a 2,000 calorie diet, and I have bad news for you. If you're trying to build muscle or even retain it, 50 grams per day is not enough. This is because the value that the FDA recommends is just the bare minimum to avoid a protein deficiency. It's not actually geared for building muscle, and it's also not individualized whatsoever. This doesn't take into account someone's age or how much lean body mass they have. So in today's video, what we're gonna do is talk about how much protein you should be eating each and every day in order to build muscle and also retain it. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be giving 5 tips on how to instantly increase your protein intake, because if I had to guess, you're probably not eating enough. Before we dive into some numbers here, I do want to point out that I already have an existing video on how to calculate your macros. So in that video, I do talk about how to find your protein requirements, but not nearly as in-depth as the video we're going to do today. But in that video, I also show you how to calculate your fats and carbs and how many calories you should be eating every day and all that good jazz. So if you're interested in that, I'll put the thumbnail somewhere over here as well as a link to that video somewhere up here. You go ahead, click on that and check that out if you're interested. But with that, let's get into it. Let's remind ourselves of why protein intake each and every day is so important. Hopefully, if you've been following along with this channel, you already know the answer to this, but I think it'd be good to give a little refresher. Protein intake is so important because unlike carbohydrates and fats, we do not have a way of storing proteins and amino acids long term. You might be thinking, well, if I need to eat enough protein every single day, how much is enough protein? Well, I do want to re-emphasize that the 50 grams that the FDA recommends is not enough. It's nowhere near enough. The recommendations I'm going to be taking today are from Layne Norton's book, Fat Loss Forever. He's got a really nice table that we'll go through, but if you're interested in this book, it has everything you possibly need to know about dieting and more. So if you're interested, I'll link that down in the description box below. You can go ahead and pick yourself up a copy. But with that, we're going to take a look at some numbers. This chart was taken from his chapter on macronutrients and specifically the subsection protein, because obviously that's the topic of today's video. But when we take a look at this chart, there's going to be 2 important things to note here. One of them is going to be that protein requirements are going to increase with age. So as you go across the table to the right, you can see as you get older, your protein demands are going to be higher and higher. The second thing to note here is that protein demands are going to increase whether or not you are in a calorie deficit. So you can see for each of these age brackets, the second row, so as we go down this chart, the protein requirements are also going to increase. So how do we use this chart? Well, we need to know a couple of things. One of them is going to be our age. That should be pretty easy. The second one is going to be whether or not you're in a calorie deficit. So are you losing weight currently, or is your goal to lose weight? Then we're going to be using that second row. And then the last one is going to be how much lean body mass do we have? And that one's going to be a little bit trickier, but I'm going to show you 2 examples, and hopefully after seeing those you'll understand how we do these calculations. In order to find how much lean body mass we have, we first need to find what our body fat percentage is, and we can do that a couple of ways. One, you could use a Bluetooth smart scale, or you could use calipers, or potentially even a body tape measure, so that's more of a common household object. If you don't have any of these, I'll link what I use down in the description box below. You go ahead and pick some up. They're quite cheap. But once we have our body fat percentage, this will tell us our lean body mass percentage, and then from there we can calculate how much lean body mass we have using our body weight. One important thing to note here is that this chart is in kilograms, so unfortunately once you find out how much lean body mass you have, that's probably going to be in pounds. So just remember to divide that value by 2.2, and that's going to give you your lean body mass in kilograms. We'll walk through some examples in just 1 second, but my question of the day is how much protein are you currently eating each and every day? And after watching this video and hopefully calculating how much you should be eating, are you anywhere close to that? Let me know in the comments down below. And with that, let's dive into the examples. So we're just going to make up some numbers here. Let's say we have a 45-year-old individual who is not in a calorie deficit. Let's say they weigh 215 pounds and they're also at 20% body fat. So we take a look at this chart. This person should be eating somewhere between 2.3 to 2.6 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass. Since this individual's body fat percentage is 20%, that means that our lean body mass, so everything but fat mass, is going to be 80%. So we then multiply 0.8 times 215 pounds. That would give us 172 pounds. And then we need to divide that by 2.2 to get to kilograms, which is 78 kilograms of lean body mass. All we need to do then is multiply the lean body mass in terms of kilograms by that value that's listed in the chart, or I guess the range of values. So for this particular example, we would multiply 78 times 2.3 to get the lower end, or 78 times 2.6 to get the higher end. So this individual should be eating anywhere between 179 grams of protein to 201 grams of protein per day. Note that this is nowhere near the 50 grams that the FDA recommends. In fact, this is almost 4 times that, depending on where you pick in that range. So that's why it's so important to know this chart and know how to use it. But with that, let's do another example. Let's say this individual is 28 years old. They're going to be dieting, so they will be in a calorie deficit. Let's say they have 33% body fat and they currently weigh 170 pounds. If we take a look at the chart, this individual should be eating 2.2 to 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram of lean body mass. We then need to find how much lean body mass this individual has. So since their body fat percentage is 33%, that means our lean body mass percentage is going to be 67%. We then need to multiply 0.67 times 170 pounds. This gives us 114 pounds of lean body mass, but we need to convert that to kilograms. So we divide that by 2.2 and that gives us 52 kilograms of lean body mass. From there, we just need to multiply by the range in the chart. So we'd multiply 52 times 2.2 to get the lower end and 2.4 to get the higher end. But this individual should be eating between 114 to 125 grams of protein per day. Something else I want to point out after doing these calculations that you may have picked up on is that the leaner you are, or the lower body fat percentage you have, the higher your protein requirements are going to be, because you have more lean body mass and it's going to take more protein to retain that. Hopefully after seeing those two examples, you now know how to use this chart and calculate your own protein requirements. But if for whatever reason you still need some help, feel free to reach out in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram. I'd be more than happy to help out. But with that, I'm now going to give you 5 tips how to instantly increase your protein intake. Tip number 1 is going to be start your day with protein. So I know a lot of people have very carb heavy breakfasts, whether that's oatmeal, cereal, some piece of fruit. It typically lacks protein, so focus on getting protein in at the beginning of the day, and that's going to help get your protein intake over the course of the day up much higher. Tip number 2 is going to be shoot for 4 or 5 meals with around 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. I know that sounds like a lot, but trust me, if you space it out throughout the day, it's going to make it much easier to hit your protein goal, and you have the added benefit of keeping muscle protein synthesis stimulated throughout the day. Tip number 3 is going to be shoot for around 8 ounces of a meat source or some other protein source at each of those meals. This will add up very, very quickly throughout the day, and I found that's just a very good general rule of thumb. The one example, or I guess the one exemption, would be breakfast, in which you're not going to be eating a meat source, but maybe you could substitute something like eggs with some bacon on the side, or maybe some breakfast sausage or turkey sausage, and that should be a pretty easy way to get some protein in to start your day. Tip number 4 is going to be utilize high protein snacks. So maybe you don't want to eat 4 to 5 meals per day. Let's say you stick with 3 meals per day. Maybe you could have 1 or 2 snacks throughout the day that do have a high protein content. So there's a variety of snacks that I like to incorporate. Some of them would be maybe those Greek yogurt cups, cottage cheese, nuts, cashews, almonds, string cheese. So if you eat 3 string cheese, that has 18 grams of protein. So believe it or not, these small snacks will add up very quickly over the course of the day and make hitting that total protein goal much easier. Tip number 5 is going to be, if necessary, make use of protein powders. So you definitely don't need to use protein powders. However, I will acknowledge that there is a very nice convenience factor. Personally, I like being able to come home from the gym, put a scoop of protein in my Wonder bottle, hit my protein goal very quick after a workout, pair it with a piece of fruit, and then I'm out the door and I'm off to work. So what I like to do is use PEScience protein. I've found that this has the best flavor profile and mixability. So if you're interested, I'll link that down below. You can go ahead and pick some up for yourself. But again, I do want to reiterate that it's not necessary. If you're eating enough protein throughout your diet, you don't need to use protein powders. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. Turn those notification bells on because I post new videos every single Friday and you do not want to miss when they go live. And with that, I'll see you in the next video.